Okay, so yesterday I released this video going over a lot of the Eververse stuff from this week that I ended up liking. One of those things was the Crown of Tempest ornament, the Sovereign Signal. So I liked that ornament so much that I just decided to make a build with it right away, and here it is. This is my Techno Warlock. But before we get started, I wanted to tell you guys that this video is sponsored by Extra Wallets. You guys have absolutely been loving these wallets. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and grabbing these. We'll go ahead and talk more about them at the end of the video, but viewer, go ahead and like this video and subscribe if you like Destiny 2 fashion. But with all of that YouTube stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and get to my Techno Warlock, or Technolock. I really don't know what I'm going to end up calling it. Okay, so I'm really dumb, and this is my third time recording this bit, so forgive me if my voice is dying. This is my Techno Warlock that I decided to make because of this Crown of Tempest ornament. So let's go ahead and see how I achieved that. So for the helmet, of course, I'm using the Sovereign Signal ornament that I talked about in yesterday's video. It looks absolutely amazing. I've been waiting for this thing to be available for Bright Dust just so I can snag it. I love the whole like techno vibe to it. It fits the season so well. And speaking of fitting the season, so I decided to combine it with the Interlaced Gloves from the season of the Splicer, and I really can't think of any better gloves to use with it. I mean, just look at the little cables here. They go from that like neon blue to that neon pink. Like, you can just hear all of the synth music going on in the background, right? And those gloves combined with the fragment of the Prime Bond. I believe this is from the Vault of Glass. I'll correct myself with a little pop-up here in a second. But this bond just fits so perfectly. Like, the Vex effects look all cool, and it definitely matches that like techno vibe. But for this one, I just really liked the way that all of these like Vex effects just shaded. For the main piece of armor that I have, which are the robes, I am using the Legacy's Oath robes from the Deepstone Crypt raid, and I have loved these robes ever since I first laid eyes on them. I mean, you can go back to that video where I showcased all of the Deepstone Crypt raid armor, and in that video I talked about how they were my favorite pair of robes in the whole entire game. Now, they're not my favorite anymore, but I still think that they are one of the best robes in the game. My only complaint with them is you see this little red circle right here, this red mark right here, this red mark right here, red circles right here, and some more red circles here, and another red rectangle here. None of that really shades. You can keep changing to different shaders and they will just stay red, but that's really a minor complaint. I don't think people really look that closely into them, so it's not really a deal breaker. Especially since all of the lights right here in the chest area just match so perfectly with the Neopop wave shader that I'm using all throughout the set. Now for the legs, I don't really have too much Warlock armor, so this is just the best that I could find within my own inventory. I do think that there are better legs out there, and you guys can let me know in the comments below if you decided to use anything else, but I did like the way that all of the metal took the Neopop shader. My only complaint with it is all of these like bandages going on here. I don't really like them. They kind of just throw me off just a little bit, but luckily I'm also using the Interlaced Gloves, which also have bandages, so it kind of balances out right there. Now let's go ahead and start talking about alternatives in case you don't have things that I mentioned. For the shader, a good alternative would be the Carbon Blood shader. Now it does kind of throw away the whole Neopop slash like Techno Warlock aesthetic, but it still looks really good, and Carbon Blood is currently available in the Eververse store this week if you're watching this the day that it came out, or the week that this video is coming out. So go ahead and snag that if you don't have it already. And another shader that I really liked with this set, which again is kind of throwing off the whole like Neopop or like synthwave aesthetic, is going to be the Vanguard Night Beam, which by the way is a really cool name for a shader, and it does really remind you of like Miami with that whole like night beam part of it. But I do really like the way that the blues shade here, all of the bandages take that blue color, and it looks really freaking good. The only downside is, yes, it does kind of throw out that like neo aesthetic that we were trying to do. But if you don't have any of the shaders that I mentioned previously, this isn't a bad one to grab. Now, one shader that you could grab from this current season right now, if you're watching this video when it comes out, is going to be the Ritualism shader. You can grab it from this season. I don't really remember where you get it from or if it's too late to grab it, but I'm sure I'm popping something up on the screen right now to tell you where you can get it. But if you do already have it, it does kind of play into that synth aesthetic just a little bit. You still have those bright pinks and you still have the same general colors as Neopop. You just might not be as bright. Now for alternatives as far as the arms go, one alternative that you can do if you're rocking a Void subclass, but I know that doesn't make sense since you're rocking the Crown of Tempest, is going to be these Solstice gloves. That way you can have the purple flames, which still give me that like cyberpunk type of vibe to them, and they still look pretty damn cool. Now if you don't like those or don't have those, a good alternative would be the Thorium Holt gloves. And the reason I like these is because of the big ribbon cable right here. It definitely matches with the Techno Warlock thing that we're going with, especially since we're using the Crown of Tempest here. Maybe like your Warlock generates all of the electricity using this helmet, throws it down to the body, and this ribbon cable connects to the gloves, which gives you more of an electric charge on your hands. Maybe that's how it works, I don't know, that's just me making things up. Now for the robes, I couldn't really find any other alternative. You guys can let me know of alternatives down in the comments below, because again, I don't really play on my Warlock too much, so I don't have a lot of the armor pieces. One that might end up working for you, but I'm not too sure on, is going to be the Phenotype Plasticity robes. They almost work. The main thing that I don't like about this is going to be the white lines filled with radiolaria from the Vex. That doesn't really shade, so it kind of throws off all of the colors. Now, if we can shade this into pink, then I wouldn't have had any complaints, but you know. For the legs, like I said earlier, I don't have too much Warlock things, but a good pair of legs to replace these with would be the Thread of the Heathen Lords. So the reason I like these a lot is because they still do take that Neopop shader pretty well. And actually, if we zoom in here, you can see that the pink is being applied to like the stitching here on the knee and the stitching around the legs, which is actually pretty cool. And even though it's a subtle little design, I like it. And if you don't like to have too much armor on your Warlock, it's a pretty good alternative. Now for the bond, a really good replacement would be the Phenotype Plasticity bond. I almost ended up choosing this one. The only thing that I didn't like about this bond was the fact that this like Vex effect right here didn't shade. It would be cool if I can turn that pink or blue or whatever, but I do like the bond itself, how it took the blue here in the middle and the light there in the center turned pink, kind of like right here in the little wires have a pink light going through them. So yes, that is a very good alternative. And honestly, even the white Vex effect doesn't really bother me too much, considering how shiny some of these armor pieces are. Now, in case you don't like Crown of Tempest or you don't have that ornament that I was talking about, I heard that next season that the Stag helmet was going to be pretty freaking dope. So you can also use the Caprio Linux ornament for the Stag, and that still kind of plays into that whole like Techno Warlock aesthetic. It still has a lot of metal into it, still has a lot of hard edges, and it doesn't look bad, honestly. Or you can also use the Crown of Jewels ornament for the Crown of Tempest, which changes it up just a little bit, which will kind of help you match with the rest of the armor set and help pick up the Neopop shader a lot better, because without it, you get a lot more of that unshaderable like space blue going on in there, and then it starts to like throw everything off. But yeah, that's my whole entire look. I hope you guys liked it. Like I said, if you do have any armor alternatives, you can go ahead and let me know in the comments below. And in case you're wondering what sparrow that is in the background, there you go. I'll pop up however you get that sparrow down there in the bottom left corner. Okie dokie, artichoke, so that's going to be the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed this fashion build. Oh, actually, that kind of reminds me, I've been seeing some comments lately where you guys are like judging the stats on my Guardians. Do you guys like not like pay attention to the video? You guys know that this is a fashion channel, right? Like, I'm really not kidding whenever I say that I only play on my Titan and all my other classes are just like Barbie dolls to do fashion stuff with. Like, you can see here on the background footage, I'm using my Warlock. That's only for background footage. But aside from that, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you do like Destiny 2 fashion, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you feel like you want to be styling in real life as well, go ahead and think about grabbing yourself an extra wallet. So these little things are pretty freaking sweet. So you can actually track your wallet from your phone in case you're one of those people that always lose it. That way you have peace of mind that you're not going to like lose all of your cards or your money. And my favorite part about them is that you have this little button at the bottom that just like launches all of your cards up so you can grab whichever one you want. That is extremely addicting, and I find myself pressing that button over and over again whenever I need to like fidget with something. So if all of that sounds fine and dandy to you, go ahead and click on my affiliate link down below to grab yourself your own wallet. Thank you to all of you that have already snagged one for yourself, and thank you viewer for watching this video all the way till the end. Don't forget that I do have a Discord server if you want to continue the fashion conversation. Feel free to click on any of the videos popping up at the end card right now, and Guardians, as always, stay beautiful.